Today is July 29th, 2026. I am Terrible Ted here with America Betrayed, and I have a special guest, a returning guest. I think this is the third or fourth time we've gotten together this year. I have Mike Rivero with me, formerly of RBN. I'm sure everyone tuning in is quite familiar. Mike, how you doing today? Thanks for being with me.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm doing okay. I hope the same is for you.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Can't complain. I have just a handful of topics I wanted to run by you, and maybe you can help shed some light on this. I guess I'll start off with the most immediate story of recent days here. Lindsey Graham's unexpected death. Do you have any ideas what really happened to him? This medical event, is it really as reported? Is there more to the story? My understanding is that his passing is a major loss for the bad guys, right? He was a top asset for Bibi when it came to handling Trump, from what I've read, and also conducting foreign policy. And refresh my memory here. Wasn't he in those infamous John McCain photos during the Obama era visiting the ISIS leaders before they kicked off their reign of terror?
Yeah, I believe that he was indeed. And there is something funny about the story of his passing. One clue lies in the fact that the coffin was closed for his funeral ceremony, which is not usually the case. Normally, it's an open casket, so you can see who's in there. Historical exceptions have been JFK, who, of course, had been shot in the head. And I think it may be that, Graham was touring Ukraine up to the time of his supposed death. He visited a drone manufacturing facility, which later came under attack from Russia, along with the hotel where Lindsey Graham himself was staying. So there is one theory that he was killed in the combat zone and then quickly rushed back. And the cover story was he succumbed to a sudden illness rather than admit that Russia had succeeded in, first of all, finding his secret location, and second, taking him out. There's another theory saying that Israel may have been unhappy with Graham's progress in promoting the war, and that may have had something to do with it as well. But at this point in history, it's hard to take anything the U.S. government says at face value. They have lied to us so much. It's like, even if they tell the truth, nobody's going to trust them anymore.
Sure. I think we're at a groundswell of that with my ear to the track of social media in recent years. I kind of chalk it up to sort of almost everything October 7th, post October 2023. It seems there's just a groundswell of people coming into this information and they won't let it go, from what I see on social media, man.
Oh, yeah. And over on X, which is where I hang out when I'm not working on my own website, we have what are called the kookafiers. These are the people putting up posts saying that the Earth is flat, that chemtrails are dangerous, that the Apollo moon landings were fake. And generally, I call them the kookafiers. And it seems like every time there's a propaganda operation that is falling flat on its face, they deploy the kookafiers to try and destroy the credibility of social media. And to me, it's a red warning that, things are not going well for the deep state, that they're panicking, or even worse, that they're getting ready to do something really, really bad that they're not going to want people talking about online.
Moving on to Charlie Kirk and what seems to be the daily revelations. There's something coming out every day that I see on Twitter, it seems. Now, we're probably on the same page as to what we think happened with Charlie Kirk, but I want to ask you, do you follow the daily updates on this story? It's sort of hard to miss if you frequent Twitter, and it's hard for me, almost overwhelming, to try to keep up with everything. Tell me what you've seen latest, and what do you think about Candace Owens? Do you follow any of her updates?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She's one of my favorite sources. And supposedly she's on her broadcast tonight, she's going to be revealing a great deal more information. She's gotten additional footage of the person who was on the roof. They were using military style tactics to get across the roof, what's called a lateral crawl. and no stopping to assemble a rifle, no pulling a rifle out of their pants, none of that nonsense. I think this was an assassination, and Tyler Robinson is the patsy. In the same vein as Lee Harvey Oswald, Sirhan Sirhan, and James Earl Ray. And yeah, it's, Charlie Kirk was, doing really well. And all of a sudden he says, he's being pressed on by his Jewish donors. And finally he said he had to walk away from the pro-Israel movement. And the next thing you know, he's assassinated. Erica Kirk takes over Turning Point USA. And all of a sudden it's rah, rah, pro-Israel. Israel's great, this and that. And it does look like he was assassinated in order to change the direction of Turning Point.
I'll tell you what, maybe you can understand where I'm coming from on this, but I was not a big Charlie Kirk fan. And I got to say, after, the days and weeks after his death, when I saw people come out with this information, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, maybe Dave Smith talked a little bit about it, some of the things that were happening behind the scenes. And then I read, I think there were two Max Blumenthal articles talking about this behind the scenes tension with the Epstein class, as they call it now. I have to say, I've never been more satisfied that I was wrong about someone. And I really tip my hat to Charlie Kirk. He went all the way, and he paid for it from what I can tell. So God bless him and Candace Owens. I think
yes.
If anything ever happened to me, I would trade all my friends and family for one Candace Owens to avenge my honor. So salute to her as well.
I agree.
Okay, help me understand the AI surveillance grid controversy, the data center controversy. I've heard all the concerns and fears that people have talked about online of the looming AI takeover. Is it going to be as bad as people are hinting or portraying it? I can only imagine that the bad guys having this sort of technology will turn our world into a prison of sorts, even worse than it is. Instead of solving crime and making society better, this surveillance grid is probably going to be used as a political sledgehammer for people like you and me, Mike. Are we going full Skynet a la Terminator 2 with the Epstein class at the control switch? How concerned should I be here?
Certainly that's what the Epstein class wants to do, but let's split the technology from the potential Skynet for just a second. I think artificial intelligence is definitely going to be changing our world dramatically. I use it. I absolutely love it. And of course, any new technology that comes along has the potential to be used for great good or great evil. And it's up to us as the public to steer it towards the positive uses. Computers would be a good example. They've come along. They're used for very good purposes. They're also used for very evil purposes. Artificial intelligence is not going to be any different. It's already being used for targeting lists in Gaza. But at the same time, it really is going to displace a lot of people in their job. And that's just the inevitability of new technologies. Now, I spent a good part of my life working in motion picture visual effects, and now AI can do the job I used to do, which is okay because now I get to play creative director and say to the AI, make this for me. And that's used to be my job. The director would come to me and say, make this. I say, yes, sir. And I'd get to work on Maya or Photoshop or whatever else. And so for me, that's a step forward in terms of my own personal artistic expression. And we're seeing some beautiful stuff that's coming out of the AIs. So it's a very positive situation. We're seeing medical breakthroughs, scientific breakthroughs. And that's a good thing. Now, on the other side, yes, AI can be used for bad purposes by bad people and bad governments, and that does seem to be happening. These flock cameras are drawing a tremendous amount of negative attention, as well they should. And there's a grassroots movements to start cutting them all down. We've got a few of them around here where I live. Nobody's taken any of them down just yet. But yeah, it does seem kind of Orwellian for a system in place that literally tracks and keeps records of everywhere we go, even when we're following the law and we're not doing, anything terrible. And it's, to me, it is a violation of the Fourth Amendment for the government to know that on my way home from work, I stop at the bakery for a couple of jelly donuts. It's really none of their business. And I do have a severe problem with that. Privacy is definitely be eroding. My real concern, though, is that the main reason for these cameras and surveillance to be set up is the government appears to be pushing the American people towards a revolution or a civil war. And having this network of surveillance already in place obviously gives a tremendous strategic advantage to the government, which would use such a revolution or a civil war to completely transform rather the country from a constitutional republic into something much more dangerous to the rest of the world.
Trump has been a major disappointment in this second term, which isn't a total surprise for most of us here listening, probably. He dropped the mass deportations, seemingly focuses solely on the Middle East and catering to Israel 24/7. And even worse, I saw him praising the data centers in recent days as some sort of economic blessing for America. Now, this Iran war situation is basically a complete disaster from what I see. He can't get out as Israel continuously sabotages any ceasefire agreements, and Iran seemingly holds all the cards as far as escalation. Recently, I saw that Israeli politicians have said Israel will decline to re-enter the war when it fires back up. Reminds me of when Israel failed to show up and join in on the Soleimani strike. So Israel got what they wanted in less than, 5 months here? The USA military is taking on Iran while they sit on the sideline. What is the latest situation with Iran in the war here? What do you think about what I just said?
Well, this is a repeating pattern. Israel did the same thing in Iraq. They were the ones who were out there screaming, Saddam has a nuclear weapon. He's going to attack. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And the war cranked up, and the U.S. got involved along with some of their countries, and Israel just sort of pulled back and sat down, ate some popcorn, and watched the carnage. And again, this is, what Israel does. They play a game called Let's You and Him Fight. And they seek all the other countries on Israel's targets or enemies or whatever you want to call them. And Israel started this Iran situation mostly through blackmailing our Congress and our president with the Epstein tapes. And now they're just going to sit back and say, let you go fight it. Our children are too precious to risk in war.
In recent months, there have been reports of heated phone calls and interactions between Trump and Bibi specifically. Even some instances of J.D. Vance getting mouthy with Bibi. Are you buying into these sort of tensions that have been reported behind the scenes? Most people on social media, I know, doubt it, but I'm buying into some of it. What's your opinion? Surely you've seen some of this, right?
Well, from Trump's point of view, the Iran war is a political disaster. It's absorbing the country, the economy. It's going to basically overwhelm his legacy. And so he wants out. And he's probably very, very angry with Netanyahu that Netanyahu keeps this war going. And J.D. Vance has probably got the same thing going on. But, Netanyahu's got the goods on most of the Congress. I mean, all but 10 of the members of Congress are accepting money from AIPAC, and we still don't know who was down on Epstein's Island or the Zorro Ranch or the Florida mansion or the New York mansion, but whoever they are, they're all on video, and Israel now has that blackmail material. And so, Netanyahu basically has Trump by the short and curlies on this. If Trump refuses Netanyahu, Trump's legacy is going to be pedophile island.
Okay, last topic here, Mike. It seems like Russia gained control of eastern Ukraine to protect the ethnic Russians that were persecuted before the war, and it seems like that was their original goal from what I can tell. Can you give me the latest rundown on what's going on with Ukraine and Russia? Any major updates here?
Well, Zelensky appears to be trying to merge the Ukraine and Iran war as a means of guaranteeing future military support. But he's started launching drones into Moscow. And so now the latest word is that Russia is planning a major strike on Kiev as early as tonight. The fact is, Putin has shown tremendous restraint so far. And for that matter, so has the government of Iran. But I think the real danger is this thing's escalating. Now Iraq is getting drawn into it, Kuwait's getting drawn into it, Jordan's getting drawn into it, Saudi Arabia's getting drawn into it. It's a regional war looking to become a world war. And you've even got North Korea saying they're going to get involved if Israel attacks Iran again. And yeah, once they start throwing nukes at each other, nobody knows where it's going to end.
Okay. Any other closing thoughts you want to leave the audience with? We're in and out like a robbery here, under 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was noticing that was one of the fastest interviews. I feel like the Roadrunner right now. My last words to anybody, it's the same advice I'm always saying, is we are heading into some very unstable times where, I'll give you one example that's already happening. Amazon lost 2 major data centers in Bahrain. And in the nature of cloud computing, that workload, which is mostly military, has been shifted onto other Amazon servers around the world. And we're seeing a slowdown, in Amazon Web Services, Prime TV, so forth and so on. It's small, but it's noticeable. And so, yeah, it's having a real effect, and that's going to spread. We're basically out of gasoline in the United States. The strategic reserves have been drawn down so low, they're now worried that those salt domes, which are now empty, could collapse. And yeah, now the United States has got adequate gasoline. It's self-reliant on gasoline. What it's missing is diesel and jet fuel, which is what you fight a war with. So my advice is to basically sum up: have storable food, be a prepper. Become a prepper, have storable food, extra bottles of your prescription medication, extra eyewear, whatever. Put someplace in your home, flashlights, generator. Be prepared to live without the normal social connections that you relied on during your entire life. That's about the best that you can do.
Well said. I agree. Hey, that's it. That's all I had for you today. You knocked it out. So I'll let you go. Thanks for your time. I hope we can get back together soon and do this again.
I look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.
Same to you.
All righty. Bye-bye.